Hello and welcome to Hibs TV as our European heroes return to Easter Road. Now all the attentions are on the Viaplay Cup as we welcome Championship side Raith Rovers for today's game. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff here at Easter Road. And like I say, we come into this one, Cliff, off a magnificent performance midweek in Switzerland. How good and how much did you enjoy that one?
Really enjoyed it. It turned out to be a slightly different game from what I expected it to be. It was good to see Hibs go at Luzerne straight from the kick-off, and getting the early goal, I think, changed the dynamic of the game completely. It meant that they had to open out a little bit, left gaps in behind. To be fair, they did press us. They put us under a lot of pressure at the back. I thought the guys at the back were superb. It was a dig deep night for them, and David Marshall in particular between the sticks. He's had his critics in recent weeks, but he was absolutely outstanding. All his experience shone through, but I think that the way we played the game was the right way to play it. Invite them onto us, hit them on the break with pace. Ellie Yuan and Martin Boyle up top, the pace they have is frightening, and if used right, that can be a huge weapon this season. We saw that on Thursday night.
Yeah, we absolutely did. And the whole season, to be fair so far, although it seems like we've been playing almost every kind of 3 days, it's been a roller coaster, hasn't it? Domestically, it hasn't been good enough, and the manager said that. But on the European front, it's been rather impressive with that, obviously, defeat in Andorra aside. What do we need to do today to make sure that we progress in this cup competition?
Firstly, we need to make sure we don't underestimate Raith Rovers. Ian Murray is a guy that I know well, former Hibs captain, born winner. He will be bringing his side here. He won't care that it's Hibs and he's a Hibs supporter. He'll want to give us a bloody nose. So make sure we don't underestimate Raith Rovers. They're actually a decent side. They've got some, quality players up top. Guys like, Jamie Gullen used to be here at Easter Road. Yeah. There's one in particular. So as I say, just don't underestimate them. Give them respect, go out there, first 10 minutes or so, suss the game out, see where we can make inroads into them. We don't need to worry too much about Raith Rovers if we get our game plan right. That's the important thing on the day, getting our game plan right. But as I say, give them respect by all means, but they're a Premiership side, they're a Championship side. The laws of averages say we should win this one, but football's a funny game, so as I say, let's just get the job done. Doesn't matter whether it's 1-0, 3-0, 5-4. Who cares, as long as we're in the next round.
Absolutely, and I suppose from that win on Thursday, in terms of momentum, a positive mood around the camp, that should hopefully, although they've probably only trained one day in the build-up to this game, help push the players through.
Absolutely. I mean, the confidence level should be through the roof at the moment, to go across to Switzerland and turn in a performance like that. And the general performance over the 2 legs, absolutely fantastic. The media probably didn't think that was going to happen. And, we showed that when we get it right, we are a good side. We just need to make sure we get it right more often than not, and starting today against Raith Rovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we certainly did get it right in Switzerland and progress through to the UEFA Europa Conference League playoff round. Let's look back at that magnificent performance.
Meyer loses out, and here's Ewan. Open space in front of him. Ewan scores! Took a slight deflection, I think, but Ellie Ewan scored the 6th goal against the Andorrans in the previous qualifying round, the 6-1 win against Interclub de Scald. Is this a much more important European goal? It puts Hibs up by 3 on aggregate. Ewan keeps the ball in. Boyle making a run into the penalty area in supports. Ewan, Boyle, good movement, and he is able to finish and possibly put Hibs through to that glamour tie with Aston Villa.
I mean, looking back there, Cliff, it puts a smile on your face, that performance, doesn't it? It was a really gutsy performance, and the players answered all the questions, didn't they, about their, certainly, mentality and character.
Absolutely. And it was big, aside from anything else, not just for Hibs, but also for the country. You know, the coefficient. Switzerland were right on Scotland's tails in the table. And for Hibs to get the result over the two legs and Rangers to get a result against Servette, that did the coefficient a lot of good. You know, as I say, I don't think a lot of people in the media saw that coming. And you know, we approached the game the right way. I think here at Easter Road, you know, getting the first goal was always going to be important, as it is in these games. But even more so across there. To start the game the way that we did, on the front foot, Ellie's goal, maybe a little bit fortunate with the deflection, but you know, as they always say, if you don't buy a ticket for the lottery, you ain't going to win it. He had a go, got a little lucky break off the deflection, put us ahead. That's Luzerne's game plan ripped up in the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
You know, and from that, we can then control the game. And yet, we know that they put us under a lot of pressure. But I felt that when we scored first, I thought we're going to go on and, if not win the game, we're certainly not going to lose the tie. And that's exactly how it turned out. We were able to use our weapons the way that we wanted to use them, and that's what paid off in the end.
Yeah, and that was our two main weapons, wasn't it, that helped us progress through. We'll look at Eliuan's goal now. I mean, again, individual brilliance, wasn't it? Like you say, a touch of fortune in terms of the deflection, but a great strike from a man that started that game so confidently.
Yeah, listen, if you're a defender, you don't want to see Eliuan or Martin Boyle running at you.
Yep.
You know, there aren't a lot of defenders that have the pace to match that. And when Ellie is in the mood, you know, he's some player. We know he can be frustrating at times. Let's remember, he's still a young guy. He's only 22 years old, you know. You looked at his goal there, he burst through there. There was only one thing on his mind, and as a striker, you know, you're never going to have a go at a striker for having a go at goal. As I say, if you have a go at goal, sometimes you get that wee lucky break. He did, and that settled us down early on in the game. It got the fans that were in the stadium, who were absolutely tremendous. You know, they didn't stop from minute 1 to minute 90. You know, and it got them up on their feet and singing. And you know, I think a lot of the Swiss fans in the stadium would probably think to themselves, you know, we've bitten off a bit more than we can chew here. You know, the stories that we've heard about this lot being a pushover, maybe that's not the case. And that's the way it turned out.
Absolutely. And then Eliuan obviously was involved in the second goal as well, chasing down a lost cause, wasn't he, with that long ball from Jordan Obita, having the calmness to go past a man and then pick that past to Martin Boyle.
Again, you know, it's pace. The defender he's got his eye on the ball, he's trying to see where the ball is, but he's got this express train bearing down behind him, you know, and that's not easy for a defender. And Ellie did what you want him to do. He's nicked the ball, he's got to the byline, and he's looked up and cut it back. Instead of trying to beat the man again, he's got to the byline, cut it back, and Martin Boyle's Johnny on the spot, boom, back of the net. And that, for me, that was the game done at that point in time. You could see the Luzerne guys' heads going down. You could sense the sort of flatness in the stadium all of a sudden. The fans, the Swiss fans went quiet, the Hibs fans were going absolutely crazy. That was the point you knew that the tie was in the bag.
Yeah, and it had almost a similar feeling, I don't know if you remember at the start of last season on Martin Boyle's big return to Easter Road, to the goal that he scored just down there against Hearts.
Yes, indeed. You know, and that's what Martin gives you. You know, Martin he's an experienced player, you know, unlike Ellie, who's still pretty inexperienced. You know, the two of them together, Ellie can only learn from Martin. You know, Martin was at the same stage that Ellie. When he first arrived at Easter Road, he was raw. You know, he would run and run all day, but he would run into defenders, he would run past defenders and then try and run past them again. But with good coaching, you coach that out of them, coach the good habits into them. And if Ellie can learn from Martin, you know, however long Martin's got left in his career, Ellie at 22 has got a lot of years ahead of him. He's got more ahead of him yet than behind him. And I think, you know, he's going to be a real valuable player in the years ahead.
And now that sets up a playoff tie against Aston Villa. Obviously the home leg here on Wednesday night and then going to Villa Park the following Thursday.
Yeah, mouthwatering, isn't it? You know, and the old cliche about battles of Britain and all that kind of stuff. Listen, you know, we're under no illusions. It's going to be a tough task. Villa, Premiership side, finished 7th last season, had a great season. You know, we know all about that fella McGinn that plays in midfield, their captain. But you know, at the end of the day, there's 10 other guys in that side as well. You know, the World Cup winner in goal, for example. You know, so you know, under no illusions, it's going to be a very, very tough task. But at the end of the day, football is about 11 guys against 11 guys. If we're right on top of our game and they're marginally off theirs, who knows? You know, Bring it on.
Absolutely.
Let's see what they've got.
Absolutely. After the game, Eliuan said to us, make sure, Hibees, you keep dreaming. Let's hear from that man now.
Ellie, what a night. How do you put that one into words?
Special. Yeah, special night because we played here in Switzerland, and I spent 1 year and a half in St. Gallen, and it was very special for me tonight because I scored and I gave an assist, and it was the first time that I win against Lucerne, so it was a very good night.
I mean, it was an incredible game from start to finish, an incredible tie over the two legs. What was it like to play in tonight?
It was a very tough game, you know. We won home game, so we knew what they're gonna do today. They're gonna attack, and we were expecting this kind of game, and I think we played well. We made a draw, and at least we are qualified for the next stage.
It was an incredible start to the game, and obviously we got off to the perfect start with your goal. I know your phone's going off. You probably got people calling and texting you. Can you talk us through your goal?
Oh, my goal. I'm not surprised about my goal because I used to going by myself on the pitch and work this kind of action, 1 against 2 or cut inside and shoot. So it wasn't a random. So I wanted to score, and I did. So I'm happy.
The momentum then kind of shifted in the game with Lucerne getting those 2 goals. But how important was that second goal for us just to almost kill the game off and stifle their momentum? You all played a big part in that goal as well.
I think the second goal was to calm the fans, because there were 2. They make some noise, but when we scored the second goal, I think they knew it was done. So it was an important goal to make a break, and I think after this goal we were confident, and we just thinking about the end of the game.
You mentioned the fans. How important were they, not only tonight but in both legs? They made some amount of noise.
Yeah, it was important for us to not lose, because the last game we lost against Motherwell, and they made the travel, and I think it was a long traveling. So it was important for us to win for them as well.
Yeah, just finally then, a place in the playoff round awaits Aston Villa, the English Premier League side. How much are you looking forward to that game?
To be honest, I was already thinking about this game before this game, because I know if we want to go to the Conference League, we have to beat a good team, and Aston Villa is a big one of Premier League. And we can keep dreaming. Everything can happen. We just have to work and trust ourselves.
Top man, Ellie, well done tonight.
You could see just from that interview, Cliff, that Ellie really embraced the atmosphere, obviously aside FC Lucerne, that he knew quite well as well. Do you think that was his best performance in a Hibs shirt?
Best, possibly. Most important, definitely.
Yeah.
He was outstanding. When he was on the ball, he posed a threat to Lucerne every time he had it. Listen, the guy plays the game the right way. He plays with a smile on his face. He loves being here at Hibs, and the fans love him. If you're a player that's got the fans on your side, your confidence is high. You want to do it for the fans as well as yourself. And he went out there on Thursday night, and again, as I say, on that sort of stage, he proved that he's got the talent, he's got the ability, and he's still learning. That's the frightening thing about it. He's still learning as a young guy. How much further can he go? Hopefully he'll be here for a few years yet, and we can see.
Certainly. And then obviously the Aston Villa game, he spoke about it on his interview there. That game will be in everyone's mind, there's no doubt about it. But it's Raith Rovers today. Do you think the Villa game could be somewhat of a distraction to some of the players today, or do you think for some of them it could almost be a carrot to show the manager, well, this is what I can do, this is why I should be playing on Wednesday night?
Of course it will be in the back of their minds, but will it affect them today? The answer for me is no. I spoke to Kevin Harper, my co-commentator, about this a couple of games ago. Obviously you've got these big European games on the horizon, but you've still got to deal with the bread and butter games first and foremost. And as a former pro himself, Kevin said that. He said, yeah, the games are always in the back of your mind, but when you cross that white line to get the 90 minutes underway, you're only worrying about the 90 minutes that's in front of you.
Yeah.
If guys go into games worrying about games that are 2 or 3 games down the line, they start like pulling out of tackles and stuff and things like that. That's when you get hurt. That's when things don't go your way. So you go out today, you deal with the Raith Rovers. The Villa game will roll round when it does. Then, once this game's finished, you can start thinking about Aston Villa. Before then, start thinking about Raith Rovers.
Absolutely spot on. Well, we're going to go to a quick break now, but make sure you stay with us because we'll hear from Hibernian FC manager Lee Johnson and, of course, discuss today's game against Raith Rovers.
Simplexity Travel is made up of some of London's leading bespoke travel managers. Simplexity specialise in luxury travel services for corporate and private clients, groups and individuals who lead busy lives. Simplexity will simplify challenging schedules and complex trip itineraries, ensuring our clients always travel with complete peace of mind and in perfect luxury. Simplexity Travel, making luxury travel simple.
Hello and welcome back to Hibs TV as we continue to build up to today's Viaplay Cup match against Raith Rovers. We caught up with our manager Lee Johnson on Thursday night as he discussed that fantastic result in Switzerland and of course today's game. Lee, that game was a complete roller coaster, but how proud are you of your players and that result?
Yeah, super proud. I think I'm proud of everybody. As I've said, you know, the board, the fans, the staff that work ever so hard, and the players have been absolute Trojans. This was a stretch game for us, you know, their quality side, I think you can see that. But the boys have worked so hard, you know, they've had to double up, they've had to run forward, run back, make big angles. At times, you know, I didn't feel we sort of dumped it off once we won it back in the first half. We asked them to play a little bit more, don't forget to play in the second half. And I thought we did that, and particularly when we had to see the game out, there were some really good passages of play. So some big like warrior type performances. I think the fans massively played their part, and it just goes to show that we're building something here. Everybody's frustrated with us, and we are as well with our first 2 league starts in terms of those losses. But you know, this is a sign that we can compete at these type levels, and we just keep building the club, and we just keep building it and pushing it forward.
Yeah, you mentioned the players being warriors there. They showed real energy, real character. I mean, how many setbacks did they have in the game as well and had to deal with this atmosphere?
Yeah, well, the atmosphere was great. You know, it's a big European tie, but aided massively by our 1,000+ contingent, which is really important. And you know, we've given them a fantastic night. You know, Hibs haven't been amazing in the past in terms of the Euros. This goes down as one of the biggest wins over 2 legs probably in Europe in the club's history, and for that we're extremely proud. And now obviously we bring on Aston Villa.
You mentioned our travelling supporters, just under 1,000 here. They made a hell of a noise, didn't they, in the corner?
Yeah, they were superb, and it makes such a difference. You know, over the 2 legs, the positivity from the fan base has seen us through. And you know, to a player, you can see him singing the individual songs to the lads out there, and you know, the team songs and the historic songs as well. And we're just so grateful that everybody's travelled, and we appreciate every one of them, because it's not cheap, you know, to get across here. They've had a good day, I can tell you that. I can see in their eyes they've had a good day, and we've made it a good night as well.
Yeah, Eliuan will take the headlines with his goal and his great assist as well. But in terms of the game plan, I mean, the speed down the flanks, the counter-attack was always the threat, wasn't it?
Always going to be the threat. They manipulate the ball really well, and you know, we had that set marker to get through the first 25 minutes, which we had to do. We scored within that spell, you know, which we needed that goal, I think. And then, you know, the onslaught came. At that point, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought we switched off 2 or 3 too many times with the quality they've got. Didn't defend the second ball. Should have been in the middle of the goal, quicker, clearing that one. And there was just a few bad decisions on the spin that made us a bit erratic and a bit scatty in the mind. So at half-time, we asked just to don't forget to play. You know, you've got to trust it. You're good footballers. You know, you've been here before. And I thought we dealt with it really, really well. Obviously, when they scored, again, it's a set play. It's disappointing for us to concede slap bang in the middle of the goal. However, the character after that was absolutely exceptional, and you know, to score the goal, the relief that everybody felt, whether it be back home in Edinburgh, in the stands or on the touchline and on the pitch, was huge.
Yeah, the only sour note, obviously, of the evening was Dylan Levitt coming off injured. I know it's early, but have you got any early signs on him?
We just have to see. I don't think it's a break, so it's probably a bad twist. He's on crutches, but that's precautionary anyway. He'll be on a boot. You know, just has to see how it settles down over the next 72 hours.
Yeah, just finally, obviously, games coming thick and fast. Raith Rovers on Sunday, and then obviously the playoff game against Aston Villa.
Yes, and that's slightly adapted now. You know, obviously we're going to have to play at 5:45 on a Wednesday and the Sunday game, and I know how important the Sunday one is to all of us as well. And listen, we've got to find the energy from somewhere, whether that's changing the team, whether that's the boys just resting and recovering, because it's a big game, and it's a big game for them, a big game for us, and obviously we go into Aston Villa on Wednesday.
Absolutely, Lee, well done this evening.
Thank you, cheers.
Well, Cliff, we heard from Lee Johnson just then. He described the players as Trojans, as warriors at points in there. It had that feel about it, didn't it? The players had to deal with a lot in terms of the atmosphere, the disappointment of going 2-1 down, and the crowd really getting behind the Luzerne players. But again, they showed that right character and, like he said, almost a Trojan-like mentality.
It's a test of your attitude, isn't it? You know, if you can stand up to that sort of pressure, then you should be able to stand up to anything. The guys didn't crumble. Yep, you know, they took we knew when Ellie scored early doors that Luzerne were then going to throw absolutely everything, you know, at us, and they did. But the guys, as I said earlier, they coped admirably with it. You know, they rolled the sleeves up. They knew it was going to be a battle. Yeah, and that's one thing that Scottish sides are good at, you know, rolling the sleeves up, getting stuck in. When the going gets tough, the tough get going, as they say. And the lads did everything you would have asked of them. Particularly, as I said, the guys at the back, it was a real dig deep night for them. You know, Paul Hanlon, Will Fish got their head on everything. The guys at fullback, Lewis Miller, Lewis Stevenson, you know, they did their jobs. David Marshall shone like a beacon for me. You know, the experience was there, just guiding the younger lads in front of him. You know, and over the piece, as I say, it was a deserved win. You know, Lee's right. You know, the guys did. They battled like warriors. They got the reward for it.
Yeah, obviously Dylan Levitt came off injured in that game. And then obviously with today's game being just a short space of time, the squad depth might be tested today.
Yes, but at the end of the day, guys that are in the squad that aren't or have been in the starting lineup, this is an opportunity for them to show the manager that they're good enough and give him a headache. And that's what every manager wants that. They want 15, 16 guys that they can pick from, not just 11. They want guys that are on top of their game in the starting lineup. You mentioned Dylan there, we're still to get the full extent of his injury, but if he isn't available on Thursday night, there's a jersey up for grabs for someone straight away. Someone's got to go out there against Raith Rovers today, show the manager that they should have it.
Yeah, and obviously before last season, the club was consistently getting into semi-finals, getting into finals, being close to silverware. Do you think for Lee Johnson that has to be one of his targets, one of his aims this year, to try and get us back to Hampden?
I think it will be one of Lee's targets, without doubt. He's an ambitious manager. He wants to be a winner. And from the point of view of the Hibs fans, that's what the Hibs fans expect. We don't expect to be winning trophies every season, but we expect to be competing for them, getting to semi-finals, getting to finals. If you're in the final, you've got a chance. You get the semi-final, your chance to get into the final. Yeah. You want these big games. We're not naive enough to expect we're going to win a trophy every season, because there's some other good sides here in Scotland. But at the end of the day, to be competing for them is the minimum that the fans want. Lee knows that. That's what he wants as well.
Absolutely. Well, obviously the first kind of round of fixtures took place yesterday. Let's just have a look at some of those results. There were a few scares, weren't there, Cliff, for some top flight sides. Rangers went behind. Ross County were taken to extra time by Hibernians as well. It showed that today's game won't be an easy task.
Penalty awarded against Rangers at Ibrox. Yeah. That was a bit of a shock in itself. Morton certainly pushed them close. But Rangers had a few of their first team starters out. Their manager Michael Beale played a few sort of fringe players, and they got the job done. Lee may see an opportunity to do that here today, and he'll be expecting these guys that are not necessarily regular starters to come in if he does that and get the job done. Airdrie, they were 3-1 down against Ross County, brought it back to 3-3. Josh O'Connor, of course, on loan from Hibs, scoring in the last minute there. But unfortunately, Ross County, or unfortunately for Airdrie, Ross County, snatched a winner in extra time. But Livingston took care of Ayr United. The one that was going to be the difficult one to predict, I think, St Mirren and Motherwell, both of whom have started the league season pretty well in a battle at Paisley. St Mirren scraped through that one 1-0. So there's much to look forward to the next round if you're there.
Absolutely. And talking of Raith, obviously, they're on a run of good form, aren't they? 6 games unbeaten, a good start to the league campaign, 4 points from their opening 2 games. Like you said, Ian Murray will set his side up in a very structured way, and they'll have a feeling that they could potentially get something here.
Very much so. Not just the managers got previous Hibs connections, but we mentioned Jamie Gullen,
Kevin Dabrowski,
Sam Stanton, Kev Dabrowski, and of course Keith Watson at centre half. Played here at Hibs for a while as well. So they're guys that want to come back here and show that the Hibs fans that they were maybe better players than they maybe got credit for at the time at Hibs. But as we said, from Hibs' point of view, it's not about what Raith Rovers do, it's about what we do. If we impose our game plan on Raith Rovers, they've got to deal with that. And I'm sure Lee will know what he wants his side to do. The guys that get the starting jerseys, they've got to go out there and execute it.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Cliff, thank you very much for joining us, and everyone, thank you very much for listening or watching at home. You can listen to Cliff and Kevin Harper later on when the match gets underway at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.